And he put this dress on. Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it.
I'm not a Tyler Perry fan, so this is what I got to say. It's funny how he got all this money to do everything but the right.
A lot of stuff that's on today is coonery and buffoonery. And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better.
You're working on a regular network show. They take a whole week to film an episode. Tyler Perry Studios, they film an episode in one day.
If you've seen a lot of Tyler Perry movies, you might have noticed something. There aren't many A-list black male actors or top actors in general in his films. It's surprising when you think about it, especially since Perry is one of Hollywood's biggest black producers with a massive budget, billions of dollars in fact. So why is that? Let's delve deeper into this saga and investigate together in today's video. But of course, before we go any further, make sure first that you subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell for more updates and videos like this.
I finished Mea Culpa, and all I can say is Tyler Perry.
And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better.
I don't know, man. It's just like Tyler Perry, he paints a very negative portrayal of black men. We ain't that bad. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, Tyler Perry makes us seem like we ain't
Tyler Perry has an amazing personal story. He went from being homeless to becoming a multi-millionaire who owns a private jet and one of the biggest movie studios in the country. Honestly, his journey could be his best movie yet, but instead of showing us that inspiring story, we keep getting the same old formula, Perry in a wig and dress playing Madea or a similar character. It's no surprise that well-known directors like Spike Lee have openly criticized his work.
Bought his own jet. You know, you can buy a jet, you got money. But at the same time, for me, just imagery is troubling.
It's also important to note that Spike Lee is close with big names like Wesley Snipes, Denzel Washington, and Samuel L. Jackson. So when he speaks, people listen in the industry. He and Tyler Perry haven't always gotten along. Even though both are major figures in black cinema, they've had their share of disagreements. While they both help bring black culture to the screen, they've taken very different approaches to get there. The tension between them really grabbed attention around 2009 when Spike Lee, known for being outspoken, criticized Perry's films and TV shows. He accused Perry of promoting coonery and buffoonery, basically saying that his work was reinforcing negative stereotypes about the black community.
And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better.
Spike didn't hold back during an interview with Black Enterprise, where he compared Perry's content to the kind of stereotypical depictions you'd see on what he called the idiot box. A pretty tough jab at TV as a whole. He did admit that Perry is smart and knows how to attract an audience. And let's be honest, Perry has a huge fan base and definitely knows how to create content that people enjoy. But Spike wasn't too happy with the image Perry's movies and shows were promoting. He accused Perry of chasing ratings by playing into harmful stereotypes. Honestly, a lot of people think Spike might have a point. Tyler Perry's brand of comedy often relies on simplistic and stereotypical portrayals. While he argues that he's creating jobs for black actors and making a lot of money, critics say that's not enough to justify promoting those kinds of images. It's like saying that just because a substance dealer is making money and contributing a bit to the community, it somehow makes up for the harm that they're causing. Or consider big corporations that make tons of money and employ many people but push out smaller companies with better products by flooding the market with cheap goods. The point is, making money doesn't automatically mean what you're doing is right or good for the community. Spike Lee, on the other hand, focuses on making movies that celebrate black culture without relying on outdated stereotypes. His films might not always be big hits at the box office, but Spike is proud of the stories he tells. For him, it's about showing love and respect for the black community through his work. But Tyler Perry didn't just ignore Spike Lee's criticism. He fired back with a vengeance. It all happened in 2009 when Perry appeared on 60 Minutes and was asked about Spike Lee's comments on his work. Perry didn't hold back. He expressed his frustration and said he was done hearing Spike Lee's name. He even went so far as to say that Spike could go straight to hell.
I'll punch the hell out of you. Say something else.
That is my answer to Spike Lee. Go to hell. Go
people love it. Why in the hell would I sit here worried about Spike Lee?
He wasn't in the mood for any of Spike's critiques, especially the ones about coonery and buffoonery. Perry was basically telling Spike to mind his own business and stop taking shots at him, Oprah, and Clint Eastwood. He bluntly said, "I'm so sick of hearing about damn Spike Lee. Spike can go straight to hell. You can print that. I'm sick of him talking about me. I'm sick of him saying, this is a coon and this is a buffoon." He talked about Whoopi. He talked about Oprah. He talked about me. He talked about Clint Eastwood. Spike needs to shut the hell up. Even though Tyler Perry hit back hard at Spike, many fans weren't convinced by his response. They started pointing out real issues with Perry's movies, like the way they often rely on overly stereotypical portrayals of black families and culture. There are also the overly dramatic films where black men and women are shown as weak, evil, or just problematic. Plus, there are behind-the-scenes rumors about a toxic work environment, forced religious practices, and questions about Perry's stance on LGBTQ+ issues. People have also noticed that dark-skinned black male actors are often cast as the villains in his films.
I don't know, man. Sometimes I wonder if Tyler Perry is like, he's on a crusade to make black men look as bad as possible so women don't want us no more so he can have all the men to himself.
These criticisms have been around for a while, and even people within the industry are talking about them. For instance, Chris Rock has pointed out a recurring issue in Perry's movies. Rock noticed that there aren't many kind, respectful, dark-skinned boyfriends in Perry's films. To make his point, he even brought up Tupac Shakur, suggesting that Perry's movies could use more diversity in their characters. He joked that Tupac might be a political leader if he were alive today, but he could also be playing the bad dark-skinned boyfriend in a Tyler Perry movie. Basically, Rock was saying that if Tupac, a huge figure in his day, showed up in a Tyler Perry film, he probably wouldn't be cast as the hero. Based on how Perry tends to cast his characters, Tupac would more likely end up playing the stereotypical bad guy. Rock was just sharing his thoughts on how things seem to go in Tyler Perry's movies. He even went on to add, "I would hope he's a senator, but he might be kicking Jill Scott down a flight of stairs," which is his way of saying that the roles Perry offers don't often reflect the full spectrum of black experiences. Cultural critic Jamila Lemieux also joined the conversation. She wrote an open letter to Tyler Perry published by NPR, where she was very direct about her feelings on his use of stereotypes. Lemieux told Perry, plainly, that through his character Madea, the country has laughed at one of the most important figures in the black community, the beloved matriarch.
How did you come up with the idea for Madea?
I was watching Eddie Murphy do the Clumps.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, let me try my hand at a female character. And I had just done my old man character in my first play, and it had done really well.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I'm going to try a female character. I was only going to do it one show in Chicago, the Regal Theater, 79th Stony Island. I was scared to death the first time I do it. I didn't rehearse with the costume. I never put the costume on. Right. It was me, Brown, and Cora. We all on stage. They're like, you're not going to put the costume on? I'm like, no. Day of the show, I put it on. Man, I was so crazy uncomfortable. Man. But the audience loved it.
Yeah.
I was just like, really?
She wrote, "I just can't quite get with seeing Madea played by a 6'3" man with prosthetic breasts flopping in the wind. Our mothers and grandmothers deserve much more than that. Heck, our fathers and grandfathers deserve more. Mr. Perry, you have told the Hollywood old guard to kiss your backside. And I appreciate that, brother. But many black folks have expressed some of the very same attitudes about your work that white critics have." Lemieux's point was clear. While Perry might be challenging Hollywood in some ways, he's also reinforcing harmful stereotypes that don't do justice to the black community.
Everything I did was about her. All the work was about her. I was never after money. It was always about making enough money to take care of her, to buy her medicine, to make sure that we were never in poverty again. And no matter how much I had, it was never enough. So I had to slowly work my way out of. So she was your motivation before? 1,000%. So when she died, all of that was gone.
So Chris Rock, Jamila Lemieux, and others are all saying the same thing. Tyler Perry's casting and storytelling choices might be reinforcing certain biases. They're questioning how this could affect the film industry and the way black characters are shown on screen. Honestly, colorism and stereotyping aren't new to Hollywood. These issues have been around for a while, and lately, Hollywood's been under a lot of scrutiny. Media campaigns and hashtags have been popping up everywhere, calling attention to some pretty shady practices. Remember Harvey Weinstein? He was one of the first major figures to put Hollywood in a negative spotlight with all those allegations back in 2017. Now there's a new documentary exposing Hollywood's darker side, revealing some power players who allegedly prey on aspiring actors. Fast forward to the hashtag #MeToo movement, and Hollywood has been hit with scandals left and right. Kevin Hart had to step down as the Oscars host in 2019 because of some old homophobic tweets. And the hashtag #OscarsSoWhite campaign is still pushing for more diversity and better recognition for people of color and marginalized communities.
Minorities aren't being seen enough in Hollywood, a fact that was made glaringly obvious by this year's in all 4 major acting categories.
Hollywood's reputation has really taken a dive over the years. Once the ultimate destination for everyone, it now seems a bit of a mess. Even the Hollywood Walk of Fame, once the ultimate symbol of success, has lost its luster. These days it feels more like a walk of shame, especially with all the stars who have fallen from grace. Let's rewind to a February afternoon in the 1940s when Hollywood was at its peak. That's when Hattie McDaniel made history by winning an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Gone with the Wind. She was the first African American to win an Academy Award, and you'd think that would have been a moment of pure celebration, right? Well, not quite.
I sincerely hope I shall always be a credit to my race and to the motion picture industry. My heart is too full to tell you just how I feel.
Even though Hattie McDaniel's win was a big achievement, the Oscars back then were still segregated. Hattie had to sit at a separate table at the back of the room, away from the rest of the cast. Her win wasn't so much a sign of progress as it was a reminder of the racial discrimination that was still common in Hollywood and across the country. It wasn't really a celebration, but more of a stark reminder of segregation and exclusion. Fast forward 80 years, and you'd hope things would be different. But Hollywood is still dealing with these same issues. There's a lot of talk about diversity and inclusion, but the actions haven't really caught up. For instance, the 2020 Oscars were filled with racial controversies that people have come to expect. And let's not forget the snubs, like how Lupita Nyong'o was overlooked for her amazing performance in Us in 2019. That one still hurts for a lot of people. Switching gears to Tyler Perry's part of the entertainment world, you can't help but notice a pattern in his movies and TV shows. If you're a dark-skinned black actor, it seems like you're often cast as the villain or a negative character. Take Steve Harris in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, for example. He plays Charles McCarter, a successful lawyer who's a terrible husband. He tells his wife he's leaving her for another woman and then treats her horribly. It's a harsh portrayal, and it's not the only time this happens in Perry's films.
Here is a new blind item about 7 alleged male victims of Tyler Perry's who are ready to come forward. At least 7 men are ready to talk about the bullying and coercion inflicted upon them by this movie-making mogul who likes to dress up. Many kept records and are ready to go public. Pay attention to the men in his movies, and you will see that he has a type.
Then there's Blair Underwood, who has been in the industry for over 4 decades and is known for his role in LA Law. He once shared a story about his early days in Hollywood and a chat with the legendary Sidney Poitier. Back in the 80s, it was rare to see black faces on TV or in movies. And when you did, the roles were often limited and full of stereotypes. This lack of representation meant black audiences had very little to relate to on screen. Back in the day, Blair Underwood and Denzel Washington were pretty much the top black actors for leading roles and got a lot of praise for their work. But even with their success, Hollywood didn't change much by the 90s. According to Underwood, every black actor, no matter how talented or famous, had to fight for the same few roles. It was like an endless competition for limited opportunities. Whether you were a veteran or a newcomer, the challenges were the same. And it wasn't just Blair Underwood who faced this. Other actors like Philip Van Lee, who played a villain as a dealer in one of Perry's movies, or Ian Overman, who was a shady assistant district attorney in Madea Goes to Jail, also experienced it. Then there's Ron Rico Lee, who played Chuck, an assistant district attorney, and Brian White, who was Randy, the harsh boyfriend in I Can Do Bad All by Myself. If you take a closer look at Perry's work, a clear pattern stands out. Many of the so-called villains in his films are dark-skinned and often shown as harsh towards women. This has sparked a lot of criticism over the years. People are speaking out, saying these portrayals are harmful and reinforce negative stereotypes. Take his show, Bruh, for example. It's about 4 black men navigating life, dealing with relationships, friendships, and careers. They're shown as close as family, always smiling and supporting each other. Then there's Sistas, which focuses on the lives of 4 single black women. The tagline, single but never solo, suggests it's about their journey through single life with all its ups and downs. But here's the twist. The promotional materials for the show often feature the women individually rather than together. It's a small detail, but it might suggest that while they're single, they're still on separate paths. The series explores their dating lives, careers, friendships, and more, showing a more complex and varied view of black women compared to some of Perry's previous work. Tyler Perry's movies always spark conversations on social media, especially on X. Many people have mixed feelings about how Perry portrays black women, especially with the drama around relationships and the struggles they face because of the men in their lives. Some critics say Perry focuses too much on the difficulties black women experience because of men, making his movies seem repetitive and one-dimensional. On the other hand, some argue that Perry is simply highlighting real issues that many black women can relate to, which makes his work connect with a lot of viewers. Then there's Madea's comedy style. Tyler Perry's iconic character Madea is definitely funny, but some people think there's more going on than just humor. For example, Dave Chappelle has strong opinions about it. When he was on Oprah's show, Chappelle raised a big question. Why do we see so many black actors creating and playing female characters? When I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress, and at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them dots like, why all these brothers have to wear a dress?
Connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress, at some point it comes in, I think he's the writer, he's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail, so he disguises you as a and he put this dress on. Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that.
Chappelle shared a personal story to make his point. He talked about a time when he was filming a movie with Martin Lawrence and walked into his trailer to find a dress waiting for him. At first he thought there had been a mix-up, but then he realized it was for a scene where his character had to escape from jail by dressing up. Chappelle's reaction was immediately like, no way, I'm not doing that. This wasn't part of the plan. The crew tried to convince him, saying it was just a funny bit and that he should go along with it, but Chappelle wasn't having it. He stood his ground saying, I don't need to wear a dress to be funny. The pressure didn't stop there. Writers, directors, and producers kept pushing him. But Chappelle stood his ground. Eventually, they gave up and came in with a new scene that didn't involve the dress. Chappelle found it odd how quickly they changed the scene and wondered why they were so determined to have him wear a dress in the first place. For Chappelle, it wasn't about the dress. It was about a bigger issue he saw in the industry where black artists were often pushed to compromise in ways that seemed unnecessary or degrading. He realized he wasn't alone in this. Many other black men in Hollywood had faced similar situations. This experience was a wake-up call for Chappelle, making him see the pressures black entertainers often face in the industry.
For black comedians, black entertainers rising up, part of the initiation is to wear a dress in public, in a movie, in a skit or something. And Dave Chappelle said that the producers on Chappelle's show, or for some, actually no, it was a movie he was filming, and they approached him with the script, and in the script he had to wear a dress.
Tyler Perry, however, has his own take on the whole dress debate. In an interview, Perry responded to Chappelle's comments by saying, "Look, Chappelle is one of the smartest guys I've ever seen, not just in comedy, but in deep thinking. If that's how it rolls in Hollywood, cool, but that ain't my story. Nobody told me to wear that dress but me. It's my $2 billion franchise, and it's always been my choice. I've done 19 movies since then, all by my own call. Maybe it's different for others, but not for me. It's like putting on a work uniform. I'm not a guy who enjoys wearing a dress, but as an actor, it's a costume. It's like someone going to Walmart. You put on your uniform. For me, it's about putting on that uniform, going out, making people laugh, lifting them up, and giving them some encouragement. That's how I see it." Perry's comment suggested he views the Madea character and the act of wearing a dress as just part of his job, something that helps him entertain and inspire his audience. But there's another side to Perry's story that some people find troubling. Even though Perry is a major black entrepreneur with his own studios and a reputation for supporting the black community, some folks think it might be more of a show. For instance, there's the report about Perry firing several writers from his hit TV show, House of Pain, after they asked for union contracts. The show was a big success, earning Perry a lucrative syndication deal and a spin-off called Meet the Browns. But when the writers sought fair pay and benefits, Perry reportedly wasn't willing to cooperate. He allegedly let 4 of the writers go, causing a lot of drama in the industry. So even though Perry has built a successful empire and become a major figure in Hollywood, his reputation for fair treatment and support in the industry isn't as impressive as his success might suggest. But what do you think about all this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. That's all for today. We hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more videos like this.